Mm.
Thank you everyone for joining. We'll wait for until 4:10 to begin the session.
Hey there, health enthusiasts. Welcome back to our channel where we explore the latest and greatest in health and wellness. Today, I'm diving into something that could revolutionize your wellness journey: gut health. Yes, you heard that right. The tiny world inside your stomach holds the key to a healthier you. You might not realize it, but your gut is at the heart of your overall well-being. It's like the command center for many of your body's essential functions. It influences everything from digestion to mood and even immunity. Sounds important, right? Imagine having the power to optimize this crucial part of your body. Enter Bug Speaks by Lucine Rich Bio. This innovative service is here to help you unlock the secrets of your gut. This isn't just any gut microbiome testing service, it's cutting edge. BugSpeaks leverages the latest in scientific advancements to provide you with unparalleled insights. BugSpeaks uses advanced shotgun metagenomics technology to give you a deep dive into your gut's ecosystem. This means you get a comprehensive analysis of all the microorganisms living in your gut. Think of it as a detailed report card for your gut. You'll know exactly what's going on inside, down to the tiniest detail. With BugSpeaks, you'll learn which beneficial microbes may be missing, which harmful ones might be lurking, and how well your gut is producing essential vitamins, neurotransmitters, and short-chain fatty acids. This information is crucial for tailoring your diet and lifestyle to support optimal gut health. It's like having a behind-the-scenes tour of your gut's inner workings. You get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and take steps to improve your gut health. But it doesn't stop there. BugSpeaks provides actionable insights that you can use to make real changes. BugSpeaks goes a step further by offering a personalized 3-month plan tailored to your unique microbiome. This plan includes dietary recommendations, lifestyle changes, and even specific supplements to help you achieve your health goals. You'll get expert consultations to help you navigate your results and make informed decisions about your health. These experts are there to guide you every step of the way, ensuring you get the most out of your BugSpeaks experience. It's like having a personal gut health coach. Imagine having someone who understands your unique needs and helps you make the best choices for your health. Imagine transforming your gut health with science-backed insights and personalized guidance. The changes you can achieve are truly remarkable. No more guesswork, just a clear path to wellness. With BugSpeaks and Rich Biome, you have everything you need to take control of your health. So, are you ready to take charge of your gut health? The journey to a healthier you starts with understanding your gut. Head over to BugSpeaks and discover the secret to wellness today. It's time to unlock the potential of your gut and transform your health. Your gut will thank you. A healthy gut means a happier, more vibrant you. Remember, a healthy gut is a happy you. When your gut is in balance, you feel better, look better, and live better. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow health enthusiasts. Spread the word and help others discover the benefits of a healthy
Rohini ma'am, are you there?
Yes, Diksha, I'm here.
I think we should start because people have already joined and we should not wait for longer.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
sure. So, very warm welcome to everyone who has joined here today. A very interesting topic that we are going to take up, and that is intermittent fasting. Last program that we had on Nurture in November month, we spoke a lot about the gut health and what are the different things that you need to do in order to improve your overall gut health and your well-being. And now we are going to dwell upon another interesting topic on intermittent fasting. Yes, it definitely benefits our gut health, but at the same time, it also benefits various other parameters at the overall metabolic health. But there is a right way of doing it. And what is the right way? What are the different types of intermittent fasting that a person can try? Is it for everyone or only specific people can do? And what are the things that you need to keep in mind while doing the intermittent fasting? So a lot of answers we are going to get to these questions today, and we have a very good and experienced person with us here today, Dr. Rashmi. Dr. Rashmi Kulkarni. Hi, Rashmi. Thank you so much for coming here today. And a lot of people are waiting out there to, get answers to their questions. And I'm sure you must have seen in the group also, we had a lot of questions on intermittent fasting, right? So I thought you would be an apt person here because you have so many years of experience dealing with clients, helping them, to fast the right way and get the benefit out of it. So definitely looking forward to your session, Dr. Rashmi. Let me just quickly introduce Dr. Rashmi Kulkarni. She is a director and co-founder of Arna Genetics Solution Private Limited. It's a global microbiome resource platform. She has PhD in molecular genetics and a master's degree in microbiology. With several years of research in cancer and evolutionary genetics, her passionate team's primary focus is to prevent chronic diseases by focusing on the root cause, poor gut health, and inflammation. Her team uses simple research-backed techniques that combine ancient traditions and modern science to improve all parameters of physical, mental, and emotional health for all age groups. You can get more information about her, about the company and the team on the website, which is mentioned here. Without taking much time, Dr. Rashmi, over to you. Looking forward to your session.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the session. Thank you so much for joining. I was also a part of the first session I attended just to see how fermented foods are being made by Vikram Mittal. It was an amazing session. I'm sure all of the other sessions were very good. Thank you so much, Diksha, Rohini, for arranging such informative sessions for people so that everybody gets a chance to learn something different from each other. So they were very, very informative. And I wish I could attend your session as well, but I'll catch up on that because that was very informative. I'm sure I heard from the group. Joining me here is Sujata Gokhale, who is also co-founder, director of our company, other of the three co-founders. So one of them is Renuka Kirkar, who lives in London. So Sujata was here with me in Qatar when we started this company 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago. And we have done a lot of work even before that. So Sujata is also going to share some of her insights after I'm done. So I just want to give some insights about intermittent fasting. Now, everybody has a lot of questions, a lot of misconceptions, and we think that intermittent fasting is something that a lot of people want to do because they want to fix a lot of things in their health. It is something that everybody wants to consider. But is it for you? Because there's a lot of confusing data out there as to what is suitable for us. What is it that we can do? to improve our overall health. I have tried intermittent fasting myself when I wanted to improve my health, when I wanted to lose some weight, although I had never had any weight issues, but that was something I wanted to do. So I'm just going to share my slides. I have a few. If you have any questions, do let us know. So just let me know if you can see the slides.
We can maybe post the questions in the chat box, or we will take up the questions after the session. Would that be okay, Dr. Rashmi?
Yeah, that's
Great.
perfectly fine. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, Dr. Rashmi, we can.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to talk about the pros and cons of intermittent fasting. There is a lot of very, very confusing data out there. So let us understand the science behind it, what we can do, what is it that is evolutionarily included in it. Are there any evolutionary benefits to intermittent fasting? Let us look at some of that. And so let me introduce myself a little bit, where I actually come from in this whole thing of intermittent fasting. Where do I fit in it? So in our company, we focus a lot on chronic disease, and just like Buck Speaks or Lucin Ridge Bio, we have the same focus. We are partnering together, and it is the same focus of prevention of chronic diseases. So intermittent fasting is something that we also focus on. It provides a way of getting our metabolism in shape, getting our health in shape. And the reason I am involved in this is because I have done several years of research in cancer genetics, in evolution, in developmental genetics. And while my entire focus of research was on cancer, development, evolution, and things like that, basically it came back to what can we do to prevent diseases. I had started on this journey in order to try and cure cancer, just like everybody else who is ambitious, who had family members suffering from cancer or who passed away from cancer. But at the end of it, it goes back to how can we prevent not just cancer, but everything else, because it all stems from just one thing, that is good gut health. So how can we have our gut health in such great shape that we do not have to think of curing anything? This is where this whole thing came from. That's the background of whatever we started. I also did a lot of dabbling in hydroponics in order to get the best nutrition, because where I live in Doha, it was very, very difficult to get good quality fruits, vegetables, and produce, which was grown here. But things are very different now. And we are also, all of us, all the co-founders, are volunteers in an organization called Global Indian Scientists and Technocrats Forum. We have an initiative called Ahar Kranti, which is a pan-India movement for better nutritional awareness and solutions. Coming from this background, we are constantly looking for solutions of making things better for everybody that are easier to follow. So these are the two co-founders. You've already met Sujata Gokhale, who is here with us, and Renuka Kelkar. They come from a very interesting, different background. Sujata Gokhale is an engineer by education, but by knowledge, she could surpass a lot of experts in the field of gut health. So she is joining me today. Renuka Kelkar also has a very different background. She is an expert in Flutter, Google. She's a Google developer expert. We are here to provide a lot of awareness about what it is in terms of gut health. So when we want to focus on intermittent fasting, let us take a look at it. I'm sure you have all heard about it. Many of you have already tried intermittent fasting, but what exactly is it? Is there any science behind it? And what can we do to improve our experience with it? Can we learn from other people's experiences? Can we learn from all of the scientific findings? In no way I'm saying that I'm an expert in this or whatever, but I'm going to bring scientific aspects of it. I'm going to bring traditional aspects of it and evolutionary aspects. Of course, we need to consult the right kind of people like Rohini here, who is very well versed in nutrition. So if we look at what it is, it's a dietary approach where we alternate between periods of fasting and eating. It goes back to the evolutionary state where humans have evolved. Food has not been available evolutionary. If we go back a million years, food was not available so easily. It is now that we can actually wake up and go open our refrigerator, take something to eat. Food is available 24/7. That is not the case evolutionarily. If we go back thousands of years or even million years ago, the way humans have evolved, is to go or fluctuate between periods of famine and feast. When there's food available, it can be available in plenty, or sometimes there is no food available. Humans have to walk for kilometers to get any kind of food. So the best studied examples are the Hasda tribe in Tanzania recently, where majority of the gut microbiome studies are done on this population. So this is a tribe that still is in the hunter-gatherer state. They're still living the life of how humans lived traditionally thousands of years ago. So this here, they actually have to walk for several kilometers. It can be 20, 30 kilometers before they find any food that is fit for consumption. And just imagine the kind of activities, the kind of exercise, and the kind of movement they are doing before they put anything in their mouth. And they eat only during daylight hours, because after that, nothing is visible. They do not use any technology. They're probably not familiar with any of the technology. So looking at the evolutionary perspective of fasting and feasting, humans are meant to go through these cycles of fasting. So we call it, it's a fancy name that we call it, it's called intermittent fasting, but it has been there in our evolutionary biology. So this is a dietary approach which alternates between these periods of fasting and feasting or eating. The intermittent fasting that we talk about right now focuses on when you eat, not on what you eat. I have a slight problem with that, because people tend to think of this that, oh, in this window of eating, we can eat as whatever we want. That's not the case. But this focus is on when to eat. The same foods, same healthy foods, if you eat at night after daylight, have a very different outcome than what you eat or when you eat those foods during daylight hours. So this is the whole basis of intermittent fasting. It comes from the fact that our digestive fire is the most active during daylight hours. Our body is highly synchronized with sunlight. Sunlight is actually a nutrient for our body. So because of this synchronous nature of our metabolism and daylight hours, intermittent fasting also needs to be in that period, because our body is the best equipped to digest food. So when we eat is very important when we are talking about intermittent fasting. There are different patterns that people use. It can be time restricted eating, it can be alternate day fasting, or it can be the 5-2 method. We'll look at these in greater details. So the key concepts to remember here are there are windows of fasting, windows of eating. So these windows of fasting without any food intake are meant so that the body can repair itself, so that there is metabolism, there is fat burning, so that the body does not store much of fat. And there are eating windows where, of course, we get our nutrients, we get our calories, whatever the body requires. And when we consume it, our body is ready to digest that food. It needs that food. It is not something excess that is going to be stored. So this has to focus on a balanced meal or balanced meals that are, periodic. When we look at the science behind intermittent fasting, there are 3 different things that we need to consider. There is cellular repair that we need to focus on. If we think of how our bodies are renewed, our cells are constantly renewed. The body is trying to get rid of cells that are not working properly, cells that are dying, cells that are aging. If we think of 1 year, our entire body is already renewed in that process. So if we allow it to repair, if we use the power of intermittent fasting to help it repair, it can have profound effects on our body. So it actually activates a process called autophagy. We'll again look at that, which is the body's natural cleaning mechanism. It removes damaged cells, it removes cellular debris, it promotes overall good health and longevity. Hormone balance also, it has a great impact on how our hormones are regulated. Again, I'll come back to this, that while I say that hormonal balance is profoundly regulated by intermittent fasting, people can take intermittent fasting to great extremes, which can disrupt the hormonal balance. So both the things are possible with intermittent fasting. So it is very, very critical that we know the science behind it, we know the right way of doing it, and we figure out what is suitable for us, because a single thing, it's not a blanket statement that it is good for everyone, and there's no timing that is suitable for everybody. Everybody needs a different timing for intermittent fasting. It increases the production of human growth hormone. It is known for its fat burning properties. It is known for the muscle building capabilities. So when we have our growth hormone, when it is made in our body, we can build muscles. We can burn fat that is stored in our body. It also promotes insulin sensitivity, because people who have more muscle actually are much more sensitive to insulin. They do not require that much insulin because muscles use up glucose independently of insulin. So it helps a lot in blood sugar control. We also have metabolic flexibility. Now our body can use fat as the primary source of energy instead of using sugar as the primary source of energy or glucose. So it shifts the metabolism to learn how to burn fat. So that's a great way of getting rid of the fat deposits in our body. So the body has this balance. It has this metabolic shift which switches from fat to carbohydrates and carbs to fats. It improves insulin sensitivity. It also helps us reduce inflammation. If we look at what is intermittent fasting, there are many different kinds that people follow. So this is, again, as I mentioned, a pattern of eating in cycles between fasting and eating. During fasting, the body shifts from burning glucose or sugar for energy to burning stored fat, because there is no sugar that the body is receiving. It actually starts, because we need energy all the time. Our brain utilizes 20% of the energy that our body requires. So in order to even think, we need energy. In order to do anything, we require energy. If we do not eat, it has to come from somewhere else. So this is where the body starts burning fat. It also triggers metabolic pathways like autophagy, which is cellular repair. Autophagy is programmed cell death. So the body starts killing its own cells in order to get rid of whatever is not working properly. And it increases the human growth hormone. Popular methods are 16-8, which is fasting for 16 hours, eating for an 8-hour window. The 5-2 method, that is eat normally for 5 days and restrict calories, reduce calories by 500 to 600 calories for 2 days consecutively. So while these are some popular methods, I am just going to share an abstract that was published early this year. Now, it is not a publication. It's not a scientific publication. It's just something that researchers presented in the American Heart Association conference in March this year. It was a very alarming abstract. So while it has not been published yet, what the researchers showed is that they have done a study of 20,000 participants, and they have studied them. They did a dietary recall of 20,000 people over at least 8 years. So the study was done from 8 to 17 years. Some people were followed for 17 years. So the least amount was 8 years. The maximum was 17 years. What they found in this study was people who did this 16-8 method, who ate during this 8-hour window, had a 91% higher risk of heart disease or dying from heart attack. So this is something that was very controversial. It was very contrary to what we had read previously, and they have not published it yet. So that is just, I'm just mentioning it because it's out there. It's not published. We don't know how true or whatever that is. Whatever I'm presenting is from the data that we have so far. If we look at what happens in intermittent fasting, the metabolism changes actually reduce the requirement of insulin, because our body is now able to use fat as fuel. When the body does not have the sugar spikes, it does not receive carbohydrates, and it's not going to have sugar spikes. It does not have the need to make as much insulin. That's why it can use the fat as a fuel for the body. Autophagy, again, fasting activates these cellular repair processes. It activates the breaking down. It recycles all of these damaged cells. It makes new cells using those same components. Again, this was something I covered. The body's transition after 12 hours of fasting, that is when the body starts burning fat. Now, this is something that is important to remember. After just 12 hours of fasting, when we talk about intermittent fasting, we think that it has to be something as extreme as 16 hours. But I'll tell you why that's not true. If the fast is longer than that, over 24 hours, it can enhance those benefits. It can promote even more fat loss. It can promote even more cellular repair, but it is different for everyone. It is not the same for all people. So why that is the case? Let me introduce you to migratory motor complex, or MMC. When we talk about all of this repair, why is that 12-hour period so important? 12 hours is the minimum amount of time where our body actually requires that much time to clean itself. When we have our dinner at night, till the time that we have breakfast or tea or whatever it is in the morning, that time between our last meal and the first morsel that we have in the morning is very important. That is the time when the body is cleaning itself, repairing itself, building muscles, storing memory. Majority of that time is spent in sleep. That is the time when muscles are built. That is the time when muscles are repaired. That is the time when our brain is washed. Our brain also goes through a step of washing, where the cells shrink, the water, the fluid comes out, and there's a step where the toxic materials are removed. Similarly, in our digestive tract, the body has something called a migratory motor complex, which is a series of wave-like contractions. You can hear your stomach grumbling many times. There's a sound that the stomach makes. You can hear it throughout the day sometimes. So it is just a process of your body trying to clean itself. If you're hearing that sound, it doesn't mean you're hungry. It's just showing that your body is working properly. So this is the sound that we hear when our body is trying to clean itself. It cleans itself during fasting every 90 minutes. When it is without food for 12 hours straight, it gets this opportunity to clean the body efficiently. It matters for digestion because the gut is now clean. It is ready to receive the nutrients again. Even the gut microbiome is a lot healthier because that also has reset. That also gets time to repair. So it prevents stagnation of food in the digestive tract. When we have long periods of no activity, there are periods of contractions of the MMC or the migratory motor complex. It is cleaning the stomach, it is cleaning the intestines, it is pushing whatever food, bacteria, whatever it is that is not required out of the system. So this is the most active when our digestive tract is empty. This is one big reason why we need to have our last meal or dinner 3 hours before going to sleep, so that we make sure digestion is complete when we go to sleep, so that our body has the ability to clean itself when we are sleeping. When we talk about the benefits of this migratory motor complex, so this is where the 12-hour thing comes into play. That 12 hours are optimal, they are enough. That itself can be intermittent fasting. Less than 12 hours is absolutely not ideal. That is what most people do. Eat dinner very late after daylight hours and then have something very early, like tea and biscuits is a very common thing in the morning for most people. So if we consider the benefits of this migratory motor complex, it is a gut health maintenance step. It is regularly activated. It should happen every single day. It clears out everything in the gut. It improves gut health. It prevents the growth of anything that is harmful that may cause digestive issues. Just the fact of just fasting for 12 hours helps a lot in clearing up the digestive system. So this fasting period is extremely important. So this is the minimal that anybody should do. It also enhances the utilization of fat. It makes sure that fat is not stored, that is not required in our body. It becomes very efficient at utilizing fat stores because it has enough time to get into the mode of fat burning. So this is how a 12 to 13-hour fast is sufficient for MMC activation. We are going to talk about longer fasting periods, but how just this 12 to 13 hours? So if you think that you are having dinner at 7, and then you have your breakfast at 8 in the morning or whatever, if you take 7 to 7:30 for eating your dinner, then you have breakfast at 8:30. It is not that long that you are going to starve. It is a manageable thing. So even that much is very, very beneficial for health. If you can stretch it to 9:30, it's even better. So this is the most ideal time for fasting. Even this allows MMC to go through many cycles, because if we go through this every 90 minutes, it is going to allow our body to be very, very clean when we wake up or when we have our first meal. The first 6 to 8 hours, here the body uses up it's glycogen stores. So glycogen is what these stores are made by excessive carbs or sugars. And when these are used, then it shifts to fat for fuel. So first 6 to 8 hours are enough to use up the glucose or sugars in our body. After that, it starts switching to fat for fuel. So this can happen every single day without doing an extra effort. The next 4 to 5 hours after this is where the MMC cycle begins to completely clear up the digestive system. It is cleared, it is reset. So at least a 12-hour fast is great. That is something that everybody can achieve. It's not difficult. Intermittent fasting itself sounds very intimidating that, oh, you have to fast for 16 hours. You absolutely do not have to. This is enough to activate the MMC. It is enough to support gut health. Then we go to this evolutionary basis. When we talk about our ancestors, if we think of when the daylight hours ended, even if they used fires, they did not eat after daylight hours. They experienced long periods of feast and famine. There were long stretches of time between meals. Whenever they had their meals, they were probably overeating because they didn't know when they would get their next meal. So our bodies adapted to thrive even during fasting periods. And our bodies know how to store energy in the form of glycogen, in the form of fat, and they know how to maintain muscle mass. But in order to do all of this, we have to make sure we are getting the right kind of nutrients when we are eating. If we look at the evolutionary mechanisms, famine is during fasting, body is conserving the energy. During famine, it activates fat burning, it repairs tissues like we talked about. And when we feast after this, the body again thinks that it doesn't know when it is going to get food. It again stores energy, it repairs cells, and it replenishes the glycogen stores, which is the sugar stores. Here, the important thing to note is when we have evolved, evolution itself takes millions of years. Our brain is still there millions of years ago. It does not know that food is available 24/7. It still thinks that it needs to store food. So when we eat, when we feast without fasting, our body still stores, it holds on to food, it holds on to weight. It still thinks it is going to experience periods of famine. This is why it is so easy to gain weight, because we are sedentary, because our brain evolutionarily is still there. Our subconscious brain is trying to keep us safe. This is why it is important to have this at least 12-hour break in between eating. The modern adaptation is shorter fasts. This mirrors the natural cycles of eating and fasting that humans are. This actually mirrors the daylight hours. Even if we can follow the daylight hours, our body is directly linked. Our circadian rhythm, our metabolic fire, everything is linked to sunlight. So at least we should follow that much. If we look at the different types of intermittent fasting, there is time restricted eating, which is fasting for these extreme 16 to 20 hours. In certain medical conditions with supervision, this can be done. But I find it extreme that eating only during a 4 to 8 hour window. I have a problem with this because especially when we talk about getting enough nutrients, the food that we eat today is not the same as food that was available 50 years ago. It just does not have the same kind of nutrition. Even if I want to eat an apple, I would have to eat maybe 5 or 10 apples to get the same nutrition that an apple used to give 50 years ago. So it's the same for all kinds of food. They are nutritionally poor because of depleted soil, because of addition of fertilizers, pesticides, and whatever ripening agents. They are pretty much very, very artificial. They are not going to give us the same kind of nutrition that we used to get or our ancestors used to get. So eating in a 4 to 8 hours window, I have a problem with it. How are we getting the nutrition that we require? How are we getting the daily recommended limit? You cannot overeat during that period. Imagine trying to stuff yourself in 4 hours, trying to get all of the nutrients that your body is going to require. If we think about the amount of protein we require, so if you weigh 50 kilos, for example, you would need, just for maintaining whatever muscle mass you have, you would need 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. If you want to eat 50 grams of protein in your daily diet, try getting it in a 4 hour window. See how difficult that is. I'm just talking about protein. I'm not even talking about the amount of fiber and other macro and micronutrients. So it is a very difficult thing. And for the body to process it within this short period of time is also difficult. But again, it might be suitable for certain medical conditions, not for everybody. Alternate day fasting. This includes fasting one day and eating the other day. So fasting does not mean completely starving. It means a very low calorie intake or eating foods that have very low calories. Like, for example, cucumber would be very low in calories because 90% of it is water. It is a very hydrating food. So foods like this, alternating between eating things like that are just very low in calories and other day you eat normal food. There's the 5-2 method where you eat normally for 5 days and you reduce your calorie intake by 500 to 600 calories on the remaining 2 days. There's prolonged water only fasting where people fast for 36 hours or 48 or 72 hours with either only water or non-caloric drinks. So again, this is good for people who want to lose weight or who have some conditions or who want to clear their skin. It is a great way to detox. But there are two issues with this, that you are not getting the nutrients for that much. So you have to really make sure that you are getting everything on other days. The other problem with this is you are also not getting electrolytes. When you drink only water, that removes electrolytes from your cells. It is diluting your electrolytes from all of your cells. If you continue this for an extended period of time, drinking only water without electrolytes, then you really are in danger of diluting. Your potassium levels can go low, magnesium can go low. There are many other things that can happen. So again, this has to be done under the guidance of experienced or certified professionals. If we look at time restricted eating, like I already gave quite a detailed thing on it, that this is eating during very specific windows. People who are diabetic are, there are many doctors even recommending that you eat whatever you want in this 8-hour window. So again, this problem of whatever you want is a big deal for me, because getting the right kind of nutrients is very, very important. Even if you decide to eat for that 8-hour window, you still need to get the nutrients that your body requires. Because calories doesn't mean anything. You can burn trash and get calories out of it. It means absolutely nothing. So when we are talking about nutrition, we have to talk about all of the macro, micronutrients and a balanced diet, even fermented foods, rainbow diet. All of these are extremely important. The benefits of time restricted eating are it helps regulate the circadian rhythm. Now, if you decide to eat only during daylight hours, that I will eat only when the sun is up, yes, that's a great way. It helps regulate the circadian rhythm. It helps regulate metabolic health. It is very effective, as I said, for weight management, for insulin sensitivity. People who are looking to improve their metabolism, balance hormones without restricting any food types. You can eat all of the food types that you want, but in this specific window, it's great. But again, do it with supervision. And this alternate day fasting, when we talk about alternating between fasting and eating normally, this leads to rapid weight loss. It provides improved fat burning. It reduces inflammation. It may even enhance longevity and metabolic health. Who should try it if you are looking at significant weight loss, better fat metabolism? But it is something that is not sustainable. When we start anything, we have to ask ourselves, is this something that we are going to continue for the rest of your life? When I wanted to do this weight loss, I wanted to lose some body fat. I did intermittent fasting, but it was in no way extreme. It was very controlled. I still got all of the nutrients that I wanted in that short period of time. But I did a 14-hour fast for a month. I did not do it longer than that. The way I do it now is 12 to 13 hours. At the most, I go to 14 if I have work to do. It really depends on my objective. I do not make it something that is unsustainable. I make sure I can continue with it. Even if I travel, I can still work with it. The 5-2 method is again slightly extreme. If people have any health conditions that require them to do this kind of a fasting, then it's fine. But again, they should make sure they're getting all of their nutritional requirements in the 5 days that they're eating. Even when they restrict calories, make sure you're only restricting calories, not nutrients. The food that you consume on these 2 days should still be very, very nutritive. They can be very nutrient dense on these days. So this affords us the flexibility in eating patterns. We can reduce calorie intake without a major change in lifestyle. Again, this supports weight loss. Many people have issues with weight loss. It improves how blood sugar regulation happens in the body. It improves metabolic health. Again, who should try it? People who want to incorporate fasting, but they do not want to have major food restrictions. It is including nutrient dense foods, and also for people who prefer fewer fasting days. Then there is prolonged water only fasting that we talked about. This people consume only water, or they consume drinks that are non-caloric, which have electrolytes, but they have 0 calories because it's just water and electrolytes. If you are trying this, make sure it does not have sugar, it does not have any chemicals, any preservatives. The benefits of this is it promotes even more autophagy, it detoxifies the body, it has profound metabolic changes. People have said that they have lost weight even after trying everything else. People who have not lost weight with other techniques have gotten amazing results by doing water fasting for even 36 hours, not 48 or for 72 hours. But this provides a deep metabolic reset. It should only be done under medical supervision. It is not something to be done on our own, because we are looking at a loss of nutrients, electrolytes, not just calories. If we talk about the overall benefits of any kind of intermittent fasting, we are looking at majorly weight loss, because even people who look lean, for example, I'll give my own example. I had checked my body fat percentage. I've been very lean all my life. I was even underweight many years ago. So when I checked my body fat percentage, it was more than 30%, which was very, very, very shocking for me. Nobody would be able to tell that that was the case. That's why I decided to lose some fat. That's why I decided to try intermittent fasting. And it helps in weight loss. It helps in fat burning. It is this fasting which promotes, as I said, this breakdown of fat. It reduces the stored fat. When it is done in a supervised, in a controlled manner, our body learns how to regulate between the glycogen and fat stores, how not to store all of this unnecessarily. It keeps our insulin sensitivity in very good shape, and we are able to prevent metabolic diseases like diabetes. Autophagy is important to prevent all kinds of chronic diseases. It is important to prevent inflammation. Increased growth hormone is very, very important for preserving our muscle mass and for even building muscles if you combine it with exercise and the right kind of nutrients like enough protein in your diet. There are additional benefits, as I said: reduced inflammation, improved heart health, mental clarity is amazing. It also improves longevity because it reduces oxidative stress, it reduces free radicals, it provides a lot of those benefits. When I talk about weight loss, when we have lower levels of insulin, when we do not have these constant spikes of insulin, just imagine you are eating over a very long period of time. Instead of this 16-8 of fasting, you are doing 16-8 of eating. You are eating for over a 16-hour window and you are only fasting for 8 hours. In those 16 hours, you are going to have multiple spikes of blood sugar because of consumption of food, which is high in carbs mostly for most people. And when we have these sugar spikes, we are also going to have insulin spikes. So our body starts becoming very, very resistant to insulin. It doesn't care whether insulin is being secreted or not. Insulin is like a key to open the doors in our cells for sugar to enter, so that our cells can use this blood sugar. But this key stops working. When it happens too many times during the day, the key, which is insulin, stops working. That's why we become insulin resistant. In our body, there are blood sugar spikes. There is insulin also, but it cannot open this door for sugar to enter the cells. That's when our body starts getting damaged. Because the sugar is too much in our blood, the blood starts becoming sticky. It starts affecting all possible organs. And the body starts storing this sugar as fat reserves. It stores after it stores as the glycogen reserve. Sorry. So when we do intermittent fasting, it helps us with insulin sensitivity. It helps us with keeping our weight in check. It also helps regulate our hunger hormones. Now we are it is much easier to stick to a calorie deficit. So as I already mentioned, this is what insulin sensitivity is. It is how our body responds to insulin. When insulin is there, what does our body do? Does it allow blood sugar to enter our cells or it does not allow? It is the hormone that is responsible for regulating blood sugar. When we fast, it reduces circulating insulin. That's why it is so much more efficient. Having enough muscles is a great way of being insulin sensitive, to helping our body become insulin sensitive. So when we do intermittent fasting, it helps reduce inflammation. So you might have heard inflammation, but what is it? We think of it as being something that is very negative. But think of it, when we get injured, when we have a bump on our head, we hit our head against something, our body sends its soldiers or sentinels to that place to try and repair it immediately. It sends immune cells to that position or location, which produce heat. You might feel that the area has become swollen. It is very hot. It feels hot when we touch it. That is because the soldiers in our body, the immune system, has rushed to that place. It creates this localized inflammation, which is supposed to protect us, to repair that area that has been damaged. But what happens when our body is not working properly, when we have too much sugar in our body, or when we have too many toxins accumulated in our body, or when our gut health is very poor? We have this low grade inflammation everywhere in our body. In our gut, it reaches all the organs. And wherever it reaches first, it starts creating problems there. So some people might have recurrent headaches. That means the inflammation is reaching the brain. Some people might have it when it reaches the pancreas, it causes diabetes. If it reaches the heart, it causes heart disease. If it reaches the brain, it might start people might start having memory issues, cognitive decline. So this inflammation is the root cause of many, many chronic diseases. So it is too much of a good thing. It is uncontrolled. But when we fast, it reduces things that cause inflammation. It lowers the markers of inflammation, like C-reactive protein. We can do a blood test to see how much our C-reactive protein levels are, to see if we have any chronic inflammation going on. There are many studies that have shown a significant decrease in inflammatory markers after consistent intermittent fasting. When we are able to reduce inflammation, we can reduce a lot of chronic diseases and even many forms of cancers. It has enhanced cellular health. It helps with enhanced cellular health by autophagy, where the body is removing damaged cells. It regenerates, it creates new healthy cells. And this is where the cells are triggered to recycle the damaged components. That's why, as I said before, it leads to improved cellular health. And it also has anti-aging effects, because think about this, that all of the old furniture in your house has been removed and it is being replaced by something that is new, that is working a lot better. How would your house look? Wouldn't it look new and shiny? It is the same thing that's happening in our body. It has anti-aging effects. You can take a look at a person and say that, oh, this person is looking so healthy. That is because there is so many anti-aging effects going on in that person's body. It improves longevity, how long people live. It increases lifespan. It reduces the risk of age-related diseases by all of these mechanisms that I just talked about, by reducing oxidative stress. So as we age, our cells are accumulating a lot of free radicals. There is a lot of oxidative stress just by the process of digesting food, just by the process of all of the metabolic things that happen in our body. And when we do things that are able to remove them, then we can increase longevity, then we can reverse aging, then we can enhance cellular repair. So intermittent fasting is one way in which we can do it. We can delay the onset of aging and aging-related diseases. That's why the long-term benefits are when we do regular fasting cycles, it promotes better overall health, improved quality of life. There are some side effects of intermittent fasting. People who do it, they decide that, oh, I am going to fast for 14 hours no matter what. Every day is not the same. we have to do many different things. So sometimes I need to think a lot. Sometimes I have to write a lot. Sometimes some days I have to do a lot of video shoots. There are very different activities that are happening, and my body requires different nutrients on those days. I cannot have a one thing fit every day that, oh, I have decided to do this 14 hours. That is something that cannot happen. So I just keep 12 hours as the basic thing, and I change things as my body requires. You have to take the cues from your body, because your body tells you that it requires food, it requires nutrients. The common side effects of intermittent fasting, especially in the first few days, are that you will have hunger, you will have cravings, you might even crave unhealthy food because your body is lacking nutrients. That's when you have to make sure that whenever you eat, you get the right kind of nutrients. There might be fatigue because of our body requires time to adjust to new eating patterns. There might be irritability, mood swings, because blood sugar is taking time to stabilize. We do not know whether we are providing enough blood sugar at the right kind of right time when our body needs it. So we are still getting a hang of what to eat, when to eat. This is the most common thing that people observe. Where if we want to manage all of these side effects, you start with shorter fasting periods, stay hydrated with electrolytes, and then adjust the window gradually without going directly to something that is very extreme. And also consider what kind of work you are doing, what kind of nutrients you need for that work. There are certain people who should not be doing intermittent fasting. It is not recommended unless it is like advised by their doctor or whoever they are consulting. That is women, pregnant and breastfeeding women, individuals with a history of eating disorders, children and adolescents, people who have medical conditions, especially like diabetes, hypoglycemia, liver, kidney disease, because it can deplete nutrients, it can cause nutritional deficiencies, it can cause sudden drops in blood sugar, it can negatively impact the growth, development, which we absolutely want to avoid. So women who are pregnant or breastfeeding should avoid fasting of this kind, because the baby absolutely requires energy and nutrients. And it takes all of these from the mother. Whether the mother gets it or not, the baby is going to take it. If the mother is not taking enough calcium, the calcium from her bones and teeth is going to go towards the baby. So it is very important that women who are pregnant and breastfeeding should avoid any kind of fasting, especially on their own. It interferes with the supply of necessary nutrients to babies. It is best to maintain a balanced, nutrient-rich diet during pregnancy and breastfeeding. Children should absolutely avoid it, because there are many growth spurts. There are phases where they are growing. They need a lot more energy than we do. They have cognitive development. Brain development itself occurs till we are at the age of almost 25 to 30. So people who are young adults and think they should be fasting should actually take a look at these publications, which have shown, this was I think 3 or 4 years ago, a very nice paper that showed brain development does not just occur in children. It continues happening till we are 25 to 30 years of age. So people who are young adults and want to do fasting should take a look at this. They do not want their cognitive development to be impacted. Nutritional needs during these periods are actually very high. Fasting can lead to deficiencies. They should not take a look at what their parents are doing, especially this, because children tend to follow what they are doing. And it is very important to focus on balanced meals, very important to focus on regular eating schedules. Individuals with eating disorders should avoid this. If they have a history of avoiding food, they should seek professional support. They should have structured, nutritional, balanced meals. Again, people with medical conditions should stay away from this kind of fasting. Absolutely should not be done on their own. They have a huge risk of hypoglycemia and other nutritional deficiencies. And who do you consult? If you want to start intermittent fasting, you can consult a doctor or a nutritionist to ensure that you are doing fasting which is safe for you, because it is based on your requirements. It cannot be the same for everyone. If you have a health condition, you should seek guidance before starting it on your own. The recommendations can be given by either dietitian, nutritionist, endocrinologist, or anybody who's specializing in this based on your history. And this has to be a personalized consultation. Only then it can benefit the requirements that you are trying to do. Customized fasting protocols can be given which are aligned to your goals. What is the goal that you want? If I want to lose fat, if I want to gain muscle, I'm going to have something tailored for my health goals. It cannot be a one size fit all. Side effects absolutely should be monitored. The very common myths that we hear is that, oh, when you are doing intermittent fasting, you will feel deprived and hungry all the time. No, that's not true. Your body actually gets used to it, adjusts to fasting. There are initial hunger pangs, but they do decrease over time. So if it is beneficial for your health, if it is recommended by your healthcare professional, go for it and your body will get used to it. Fasting slows down your metabolism. It really depends on how you do it. Yes, it can slow down your metabolism if you do it wrong, but if you do it in the right way, it can actually speed up your metabolism in the short term. Depends on what you want to do, how long you want to do, what is the objective. Fasting is only for weight loss. No, it's not just for weight loss. It is for good metabolic health, good for cellular renewal, good for insulin sensitivity, longevity, and everything else. Is it right for you? There are many things that you need to consider. What is it that you want? Even for foods that we eat, like if you want to eat spinach or if you want to eat palak paneer, I would always say that what is the objective of why you want to eat palak paneer? If you want to eat it for calcium, yes, it is very good. If you want to eat it for iron, no, it's not very good. So similarly, you need to know the objective of why you are eating and then decide what fasting window or what type of intermittent fasting you want to look at. So the key takeaways are that if you are looking at weight loss, burning fat, improving your metabolism, using this for anti-aging, using this for better insulin sensitivity, reducing inflammation to prevent all kinds of chronic diseases, even several forms of cancer, this is great. But as I said, even 12 to 13 hours is good enough. If we just manage to follow our circadian rhythm, it is amazing for our overall health. We don't need to do anything fancy. This is a flexible approach. It is adjustable to individual needs. We need to be consistent. We need to be safe. And this needs to be individualized. Don't forget to monitor your progress when you're starting this fasting. Monitor your weight, monitor your body composition. If you have a BMI scale or something like that, where you can actually monitor or whether you are losing water content or fat or bone mass or muscle mass, that is even better. I use it to track my progress. So if you do that, it is really very, very helpful. Keep track of your energy, how your mood is, how your mental clarity is, whether it's better when you fast or whether it is worse. There are blood tests to check out whether insulin sensitivity has changed, or you can also have look at inflammation markers like ESR and C-reactive protein, metabolic health, and then adjust your meals according to that. There are some challenges, like I said before, hunger and cravings during the fasting window. There might be social situations, or you want to go out with family where fasting might feel very restrictive. Families might want to do something else, so it is very difficult to adjust with this initially. So you might start with shorter fasting windows. You might get your family on board, stay hydrated, and then gradually build up. Find a fasting method that fits your lifestyle and not just your health goals. So this again, we looked at this. There are meal planning. Meal planning is very, very helpful. When we have our meals planned out, when we know exactly what we are eating, then we can focus on meals that are nutrient dense. When we are eating, we have to make sure we get everything that our body wants and deserves, so that we can avoid overeating, so that we can avoid all of the unhealthy cravings. We do not reach out for unhealthy processed foods when we are fasting. And make sure to stay hydrated with not just water, herbal teas, other non-caloric drinks that have electrolytes. And there are some examples that I've posted here, but these are not exhaustive. You can actually have something that is very, very nourishing. Hydrating is extremely important when we want to. Many times when we feel hungry, we are actually thirsty. Because again, if we go back to evolution, majority of the fruits and vegetables are 90% water. Water bodies were not so easy to find evolutionarily if we look back. So what did people do at that time? Humans actually reached out for fruits or vegetables for hydration. So when we are hungry, many times when we feel hungry and reach out for those processed junk foods, we are actually thirsty. So we should drink water first and see whether it was hunger or thirst. Combining fasting with exercise is again great. exercising in the fasted state for optimal fat burning. If you do a fasted walk for half an hour in the morning, it is amazing. It has amazing health benefits because the body will already start burning fat. There are many different kinds of exercises: strength training, high intensity interval training, moderate cardio. So again, this increases human growth hormone. Is it sustainable? Yes, it can be sustainable if you do the 12 to 13 hours. If you do an extended one, it might not be very sustainable. But when we get used to it, it can become natural. It can become a habit. Stick to a pattern that is right for you. Incorporate balanced meals, avoid binge eating. In this way, we can do it in a very safe manner. Listen to your body. Stop fasting if you experience any symptoms that are not normal, dizziness, fatigue, or anything else. Listen to this and consult healthcare professionals. Again, how to get started: set realistic goals and adjust as your body requires. Do not go overboard trying 16 hours or whatever without when it is not required. So these are the studies. What is it showing? I've already talked about it. There's a lot of scientific evidence which shows this insulin sensitivity, fat loss, longevity, autophagy. All of this data is available. There are clinical trials that show several benefits on heart health, weight management, cancer prevention. So in conclusion, it can offer a very flexible, very sustainable approach to good health. It is very easy to do. There are many different methods. So there's no such thing as, oh, we cannot do it. Everybody can do it. That's how humans have evolved. That's how we can actually start doing it, looking at the 12 to 13 hour window. Consistency is again very, very important. And before we go to the Q&A, I wanted to share this one, that do also take a look at our social media handles, where we do a lot of outreach about everything related to gut health. On our YouTube channel, where we have amazing podcasts related to everything about gut health, like these two here: nearly 90% of all cancers are preventable, and how you might be diabetic. So many people who are diabetic, 90% do not even know they have diabetes. So these are our social media handles, and this is the website, microbiomesuperhero.com. Thank you so much. And Sujata also wanted to share some points. We would definitely love to take any questions.
I'll just take quick 5 minutes because Rashmi presented really wonderfully well on the intermittent fasting part. But I would, just like to share certain perspectives of the intermittent fasting. Can you see my screen? Is it fine? Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. So she talked about a lot of, the benefits as well as the upside of, the other side of the fasting. Now, we knew that our ancestors always did that 1 day fast in a month or a 2 day fast in a month. It was after a, gap of 15 days or 14 days. So that was very much, aligned to the kind of the lifestyle they had. But what is happening today? She talked about the tribes who are and the ancient period where we as humans sustained on everything that was available raw, and we had that intermittent fasting, or we had that fasting periods, long period. So we were accustomed to it. But what is happening today is that we have this hedonic eating. That means we have seen highly palatable, calorie dense foods that are kept and served, and that is where we binge, and that is where the obesity starts. So in order to address the obesity of these the current generation, because of the impacted food eating habit, intermittent fasting could be very, very beneficial. But what can be thought as potential risks? I'll just mention a few points towards the other side of the coin. Every coin has two sides. So the other side of the coin is, like Rashmi mentioned, nutritional deficiencies. Yes, they could be there. Fatigue and low energy. That is when you start the intermittent fasting, because of the nutritional deficiencies, you could have the fatigue and the low energies. Then, of course, the increased stress level. Oh, I have to follow this pattern. I have to eat it in this condition. I have to, have all this nutrition in this plate, or I have to conform to this diet plan, makes an increase in stress levels as well. and that actually increases the cortisol levels. Now, one question that I saw on the chat box was on hormonal imbalances. We have talked about the insulin part, wherein we go into the hypoglycemia, but research has shown that it also affects women, the hormonal changes in women, whether they are at the age of puberty or whether they are at the age of menopause or any time in between. It has been seen that intermittent fasting could impact hormonal imbalances. The other thing was, that is another question that I think Diksha raised on her on the chat, was digestive issues. We have talked to so many people who have tried doing the intermittent fasting, and they have seen that either they are having nausea, they are having a very bad sensitive stomach, or they could be even having acidity as a causative after starting the intermittent fasting. Low blood sugar, of course, Rashmi did talk about it. And then risk of disordered eating. Sometimes what happens is, you have fasted for a period of 16 hours. You still aren't in that phase where you are able to control that hunger pangs, or your body has not adjusted to it. So the first thing you do when you're hungry is binge, or you try to eat as much food as possible, thinking you will lose it in terms of fat or calories when you fast. So there is a risk of disordered eating, wherein you might just pick the food that you get your hands on and start binging. Then, of course, overeating. Overeating is another criteria that comes. You might want to finish a lot of food that you really feel like eating in that period, starting from that period. So those are the risks that could happen. Now, but when we come to the gut microbiome, though this is not my topic, but a topic close to our hearts. So I will be just briefly touching on it though, because I'm not an expert, but I've read about a lot of material on this. And I find that some of the research papers have mentioned this, especially that there is an increase of beneficial bacteria, desirable metabolites, and in your fasted state, and in your chronic overfed state, there is a pathogenic bacteria and undesirable metabolites. Now, again, this is not where I'm going to go into, because this will require a detailed session. If you can see, there are some obesity related bacteria. That means some bacteria that contribute to your obesity, and it has been seen in obese people generally. They are kind of overabundant, or they are lack, or there is a missing of these strains. So in the leanness, I will only specifically mention about Akkermansia municipala. Now, this particular one is very, very important for your maintaining your leanness, or it inhibits or mitigates the obesity. But the questions have been taken up as to what its impact on the mucosal layer is. That means, over a period of intermittent fasting, when you have done a prolonged intermittent fasting for say about 2 or 3 months, or you're just continuing on and off, then what does it do to your mucosal layer? That's a big question that you need to ask. So how would that impact the gut permeability? Would it allow the pathogenic bacteria or the microbes to get into your system? How is it going to happen? Will it impact the leaky gut? Has anybody done studies on those? So this is where we need to know that how to do the intermittent fasting. So Dr. Rashmi was very right in mentioning that don't just start your intermittent fasting. There are aspects to it that you need to consider before you start your intermittent fasting. And gut microbiome also needs to be. There are a lot of studies about its benefits, but just consider that the beneficial bacteria, if they are overabundant, are they going to potentially give you only the benefits, or are they going to have some side effects as well? So that needs to be studied, and that is why knowing your gut is going to be really, really important. Dr. Rashmi very rightfully mentioned, keep that 12-hour gap. That is good. 16-hour gaps could lead to other issues which we just had a brief look at. Now, this fasting that I'm talking about are long period fastings. So if you see, I will just quickly go to that particular because, yes. Now, if you see a fasting of 2 days, this is a research paper. I've taken this image from the research paper. So you can see everything is fine if you have fasted for less than 2 days or equal to 2 days. But if you have gone over 2 days, then the question of gut permeability does come in. What happens then to the inflammatory status? Once the gut permeability is compromised, will that inflammatory status be okay? And then, of course, there are other aspects to it which you need to consider. So this is what I just wanted to share with you all, because when we start something, we hear from people, oh, intermittent fasting did so much good for me. But are you ready, or are you prepared to take the correct kind of information, correct kind of consultation, and monitor your progress continuously before you start? That is the big thing that you need to consider when you start your intermittent fasting, because it could have its repercussions as well. So that's all I wanted to put in here. So thank you very much. And yes, over
Thank
to
you so
you.
much, Sujata. I did not go into too many technical details because Bug Speaks have specialized on that, and I'm sure you had enough gut health related sessions. That's why I tried to keep it in the very evolutionary perspective.
Yes.
But the questions that were asked are very, very relevant, and what Sujata just said, I want to share just one slide for that. The reason I'm sharing this is because this is what Sujata was saying. This, if we look at our intestinal lining here, our intestine is just a single cell thick, and there's a very nice mucus layer on this. When we are fasting, it allows Akkermansia, the bacterium that she talked about, to digest this. It digests the mucus layer, it eats away the mucus layer, and then it is renewed. So that's why we have a very healthy mucus layer, which is helping us absorb all the nutrients, and the tight junctions between the cells are intact because there's a good microbiome that is replenished every single day when we are doing this fasting for 12 to 13 hours, or allowing our migratory motor complex to function. But when it happens in excess, when Akkermansia starts eating it too much, or when there are other things that are eating up the mucus layer, when things are not healthy, then this might happen. Then there is no mucus layer to protect our cells. There is nothing to help us absorb the kind of nutrients. And then even the barriers, the tight junctions are gone, and things start leaking in our digestive system. So this is a slide I use for something else, but just because I had this image, I thought I would show it. This is a visual representation of what we were talking about.
Thank you, Rashmi, because I did not want to, actually take up this topic, but I thought that since the questions were coming up on the chat, I
Yes,
thought
yes.
just quickly go
So
get.
that's why you need to know what the status of your gut health is before you decide to, do all of this. We already know what the state of our gut health is, and I monitor my progress. That is what we are using. Tools like the BMI monitor can really help track what is the moisture content in the body, what is the fat, what is bone. When I'm losing weight, I know that I'm losing fat that I want to lose. I'm not losing my bone or water or muscle mass that I do not want to lose. Absolutely. So this is a way. This is an easy way. Many of the smartwatches also have this. I'm not saying they are 100% reliable, but at least they give a rough indicator of what might be happening in our body. And absolutely, this needs to be done under consultation. This is not something that we should
That is
do
what
on our.
exactly I wanted to highlight, because what works for somebody else does
Yes.
not work for you. You need
Hormonal
to
imbalance is something we have heard from a lot of people, in women especially. We have heard from even the biohacker, very famous biohacker David Asprey. In his course on biohacking, he says that yes, people should do intermittent fasting, but women should not go for the extended periods of time because it can really mess up their hormones. 12 to 13 hours is more than enough. You can go to maybe 14 hours, but please do not extend beyond that because it is going to mess up with your hormones. So really depends on your age. If you want to do it, 12 hours is good enough on your own. If you have health conditions, do talk to a professional.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rohini and Diksha, for.
Thank you, Diksha. Thank you, Rohini, for inviting us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rashmi and Sujata. Very good insights actually on intermittent fasting. I'm sure you have answered to a lot of questions that were asked on the chat. A big relief, I'm sure, for a lot of people who were thinking how to do 16 hours of fasting, but now they know that 16 hours is not required. Actually, just 12 to 13 hours is good enough, right, to get the benefits. But yes, as you rightly put, it is always good first to understand what is your goal behind doing the intermittent fasting, and then, of course, approach a professional who can guide the right way of doing it. The eating window definitely matters, because what you eat determines how much of benefit uh, your body gets and your gut gets out of the fasting period. So thank you so much once again. Can we have just last 10 minutes of a question answer session? And
Yeah,
if
sure,
we have
sure.
left
I'll
out, we
take
can take it.
lead, if you don't mind, because
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be here to answer. Thank you so much, Sujata.
thank you, Rashmi, for your kind words. Thank you so much, the Speaks team, for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sujata, for being here. It was a pleasure to have you, and your insights towards the end really helped give the picture clear.
Okay, so I will just quickly take 3 or 4 questions here, which I feel will require a definite specific answer. So yes, so right. Suparna Mukherjee asks, kindly suggest natural electrolyte dense sugar-free fluid name. I think
I think you are better equipped to do that because I'm not a nutritionist, but as you said, coconut water is a great electrolyte. I mean, it has all the electrolytes that our body requires. So that is something that is extremely
yes.
helpful.
Yes, I think that would be a very good addition. A lot of people, of course, this is during the eating window that we are talking about, not during the fasting window, right? So that would be a good thing to add. Yes, definitely. Um, uh, okay, so there is a also some amount of debate between the dry fasting and the water fasting. And again, I think it depends on the individual needs and the, what kind of goal that an individual has. But has there been any research which says that, one could be better than the other in general when it comes to autophagy or the other processes that happens in the body during the fasting period?
So I'm honestly not aware of any such scientific studies that say that you should not even drink water. Water is something, water and electrolytes are something that are very basic, that are required, and there's no such strong evidence that suggests dry fasting for long periods of time. For a day, I think it would be fine. But most of the beneficial effects that we see include hydrating ourselves because our body cannot go very long without water. Water is something that we absolutely need. Even when we are not drinking water, our body still we are still sweating, we are still losing water in many different forms for some period of time until the body gets used to adjusting. So when we go for dry fasting, there's a disadvantage that we are causing our body. So the cleaning also is not going to be that efficient when we do dry fasting. So I think for a day it might be okay, but beyond that, if people want to do fasting, it should be with water, with electrolytes, with fluids.
Understood. Okay, and Sushma asks, is it okay to do intermittent fasting if one has a low blood pressure?
I would not recommend it. If the blood pressure is low, we are already dealing with lower levels of electrolytes, and that is something that, of course, you have to consult your medical professional. But just looking at the health condition, I don't think that's a good idea.
So I would like to repeat here once again, if you have any medical condition, please speak to your doctor once before you enter into the or take up the intermittent fasting. So that is a disclaimer that goes without saying. So during the fasting period, that is one more question which keeps coming up. In your experience, would tea and coffee be considered as a fluid to be taken during the fasting period? I mean to say the green tea and the black coffee without milk and sugar. What do you think?
I think they are not the most ideal fluids to take because, yes, you might think that, oh, I'm so fatigued and I need more energy. That's why people would consume something that has caffeine. But I think they are not ideal because they are very acidic in nature. And we do not want to make our body additionally acidic when we are not getting any nutrients. When the body doesn't have anything to digest, why would we want to make it even more acidic? So I don't see any benefits of, I have not come across any benefits of drinking anything like green tea or black coffee. That is not going to contribute to nutrition. That is just going to change the pH of the body. It's not a great idea.
Oh, okay. I think that definitely makes sense. I think we have captured all of the questions as well. With respect to your explanation, you have already taken up about hormones and everything. But in case anyone has anything more to ask, you can always post in the group. Dr. Rashmi is also a part of this group. Are you still there in the group, Dr.
Yes,
Rashmi?
yes, I am in the group. Yes.
Great. So you can either directly message her if you require her assistance, or you can post it in the group where she'll be able to answer any other queries.
Yes,
Thank
I
you
have
once
seen a
again.
raised hand here. Sunil ji, you have a raised hand. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah,
You
I
can
have a
unmute.
question.
Okay.
Can I? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
please go ahead.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Rashmi. It was really informative session. My issue is that I'm struggling with a leaky gut. I'm 59 years of age. I usually have intermittent fasting, that 16 hours gap I keep it. So can I go for more fasting now? Because I'm not getting, my protein is not getting digested. So there is a weight loss and there is a muscle loss. Despite of that, I am doing yoga and all.
So I would highly recommend you to go for testing first to see how your gut health is before you do anything on
Done.
your own. Or
Done.
if
Done. That has been done.
okay, so if you have done that
Score
and
is
if you are following,
2.25.
sorry, it doesn't matter what your score is. The score is not indicative of how your gut health is. Your score can be very low and still it can be good gut health, depending on the probiotic strains that are present or missing in your gut, whether you have pathogens or not. So these are also very important. If you have checked in your report whether you are missing the key foundational probiotics, then you need either fermented foods or supplements to get those in your gut, because the problem you want to fix is the leaky gut. It's not that extending it to longer periods of fasting is not going to solve this issue of whatever, because those probiotics are not going to come from anywhere else. They need to be provided to you, whatever is missing. So it really depends on what your report is, and I'm sure if Rohini has looked at your report, or I don't know where you did the testing, but that can be something that can be looked at before they
Testing.
are replenished. This fasting is not going to help.
Okay. Just to add on, I have as per report, whatever my understanding, there is an overgrowth of bad bacteria and there's some issue in
Okay.
pathogen. So I'm
Yes.
already taking a lot of supplements as suggested by the nutritionist only. So this
Okay.
is what I am doing it. Plus I'm doing this intermittent fasting. This is 14 hours window or 12 hours window. So
Okay.
beside that, I think whatever I've understood from your presentation, just understanding that there is no need to go beyond that.
There are other things also. Now, today I talked about intermittent fasting. Let me tell you, this is the first time I'm talking publicly about intermittent fasting. Food is not the only thing that is contributing to our health or gut health or whatever it is. There is a lot more. If we look at a chart, there's a very nice flow chart that, I don't have access to it. If I find it, I'll share it in the group. Food is a tiny speck in this extremely complex things that are going on in our body. So in addition to that, exercise, mindset, the gut microbiome itself, and so we are talking about mental health, sleep. There are many different factors that are contributing to our overall health. Even having emotional baggage can change a lot of things. That's why we focus on all of them. Just eating foods or eating it, that food is not everything. Food is very important, but there are many more things to life than, if you are still having problems after including this foods, then you absolutely have to take a look at, because the food is going in some kind of an environment. Is the environment right for that food? Is it going in a body that is receptive or that is capable of digesting that food? So that environment is very, very, very important. So you have to take a look at all of those other factors also.
Very good point, Dr. Rashmi. Yes, so
Wonderful.
Mr.
Thank
Sunil,
you.
I think we did discuss about this, right, during the psychologist session that we had.
Yes,
The emotional baggage definitely plays a very important role. And to ensure that you get the right kind of, the positivities from the intermittent fasting and from the diet that you're following, the lifestyle matters, the stress management matters, and of course the sleep. The good quality sleep also matters. So maybe you can go back to your nutritionist and have a fresh discussion after this session is done to find out what are the other ways that she can help you with in order to get the maximum out of this intermittent fasting. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, I think we can wrap the session now, Dr. Rashmi.
Yes,
Thank you once
thank you so
again.
much.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here
so
and
much.
for having such an informative session. A lot of people definitely have said thank you for this session. And
Yes,
to all
thank
the
you.
participants here, we'll be arranging many more such informative sessions in the future. And we are looking forward to your participation once again. Wishing you all a very happy weekend. Good evening and good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rohini. Thank you, Diksha.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Thank you, Rohini ma'am, and thank you, Dr. Rashmi, for doing this for us today.
Thanks,
It was
Diksha.
a great session.
Ma'am, speak. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Oh, you are on mute. Okay. I think there was a question.
Maybe the questions can be put up in the group.
Yes, yes. I think we
Dr.
can.
Rashmi's
All right. Thank you.
can, yeah, definitely reply. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.